Okay, wait, I had to make sure. So I hit recording, it paused for a second. All right. Three, two, and one. Welcome back to the Media Files podcast. This is episode 4. And I know the episodes might be confusing because we break them up into parts. However, depending on how far we go, sometimes we have to break it up into 2 parts. I know some of you guys are heathens and you can watch or listen to something for 3 hours long. Most of us ain't got time for that. So
Yeah.
we will try to keep it
Yeah.
we will we will try to keep it in a digestible form. But that last one I think was like the longest one we've recorded thus far. That probably will not be the last. But anywho, welcome back, faithful listeners. We are in it again with a new topic. So last week we had talked about our movie review of Agnipath. We also talked about the passing of the man, the legend, Akira Toriyama. And at the end, if you guys made it to the end, we basically had each of us had the job of finding a YouTuber, and with that YouTuber, we basically had to come forth and say why we like them, why we still follow them all these years later or a year later, however long. The only prerequisite was that we had to be subscribed to them at least for longer than a year. So we're just going to start with that. And we're basically just going to go in flow of their name, their content, why we follow them, and have if their content has changed over time. So, gentlemen, who would like to go first?
I'll go first.
Fantastic. Go ahead, Mammoth.
I picked Critical Role.
You mean Moist Critical, nigga?
No, Critical Role.
Oh, my fault. For-
Critical Role are a group of nerdy ass voice actors who get together and play Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh, okay.
Fuck. We have. Fuck, I'm gonna butcher some of the names. I shouldn't. Wait. We have Matt Mercer DMing. He DMs all of their campaigns. Right now they're on campaign 3. They started off as a home game where they all just got together and played off camera. And then later I think they were approached or somebody asked them, was like, "Hey, do you guys want to live stream your game?" And they're like, "Sure, let's try it out. Let's see." Um I think they originally were on the Geek and Sundry channel, part of that like whole media network.
Hmm.
I think maybe Machinima had some like overlap with that time period, like 2015-ish, 2016-ish. But yes, they play Dungeons and Dragons. That's pretty much not. I won't say that's pretty much all they do. They do like gaming stuff, not like gameplay, but like tabletop and RPG stuff. And of course, being voice actors, they bring on guest stars to like play with them who are also nerdy or not so nerdy. Like I think in campaign 1 they had Joe Mangello come on, and he played a he played a bad guy and stabbed him in the back at the end.
Oh,
uh, but yeah, I like watching them just because they're super wholesome and consistent. You know, it's a group of friends who just enjoy playing games together.
hmm.
And uh, something I started watching like another guy do analysis videos of their episodes. I'm like, oh, how to be a better player, how to be a better DM. And I kind of got in my head like, oh, these guys they put the game before the content, because everything they do is organic, but it's like, oh, it's like the audience isn't there because they live stream their games and then also edit them for later like consumption on the channel. And it's like, oh, these guys are just playing, having a good time with each other, and having a good time with each other matters more than like having like good production value. I mean, they have great production value. Don't get me wrong. They, I think people have touted them as having like the best tabletop setup just because they're like they have the opportunity to make it a little bit more professional or tie it in with like the business they run. So it's a little higher quality than what you might see in like your friend's basement. or like
Mhm.
at the local game shop. But yeah, I I enjoy how much they have like grown into like this huge company who's launching their own games, and they have their own merch. They have the Legend of Vox Machina cartoon that's also they got greenlit by Amazon to cover the second campaign too.
Oh,
So this is we're talking many,
Wow.
many seasons of like, and I think like the first campaign, they crowdfunded that like almost immediately. I think it was like the fastest like hit goal on what's the website where people do
GoFundMe.
like donate GoFundMe? Yeah, it was like the fastest campaign for like a media ever. And after that got funded, Amazon was like, "Hey, we'll kick in some money, and you can do more than just like this one special." And then we got, the first two seasons of Legend of Vox Machina.
Hmm.
Um,
Oh,
am I missing anything out of like the criteria you said for why we watch them and stuff?
Uh, nah, I think you hit it pretty well. Name of the channel, content they make, why you follow them, and how their content has changed over time, if it did.
Yeah, I think the only big differences in their content has been production value.
Mm,
Because like in
okay.
the early days on campaign one, they would have like audio clip in and out, or people couldn't be there, so they'd like set the laptop up in their chair. But then
Gotcha.
later on, they were just like, "Oh, we'll just work around that, and we won't have like that stuff." Like if somebody couldn't be there, they would like tie it into Matt would tie it into the narrative, like, "Hey, this character is gonna go do something for a while, and they'll come back when the actual person gets back."
Gotcha.
So stuff like that. Mainly production value is like the only big change. Like they've been extremely consistent in them as a group having fun, making I don't even want to say making videos because they play the game together and just happen to record it. That's what it feels like watching, where they're playing their own game and we're just lucky to be like the fly on the wall watching them. There's no like when they live stream, they don't interact with the chat. I think they used to in the early days just because of the way it was set up. But I think after a while, they're completely separate from the chat. They go on their break. They might look at like Twitter or something in between, like when they have downtime. But it's just them. Like there's no outside influence on how they do what they do.
Mm, okay.
I only mentioned Matt DMing. We also have Laura Bailey, Marisha Ray, Sam Riegel, Travis Willingham, Liam O'Brien, Allison Jaffe, and fuck, I'm looking at her face right now. Ellie. Fuck. Why can't I remember her name? Ashley Johnson. It's Ashley Johnson.
Bruh.
I have their pictures up in front of me, and I'm like, why can't I remember her name? And I'm just like, Ellie. It's Ashley Johnson. Yeah, but they're the
wow.
cast. They've been the cast for all three. They're just
For the show?
yeah. 'Cause it started off as a birthday gift that Liam did for Sam. He's like, "Hey, you never played tabletop? I'm gonna get these guys together because they're nerds and they like playing tabletop." And that one game spun out into this whole thing.
Damn.
And 2016 was when they first started, and they've been going strong since. Yeah,
Hmm. Okay.
8 years going on 9.
Oh wow. That's actually pretty impressive.
'Cause
So,
I didn't start following them till around the start of their second campaign, so maybe 2019ish.
how long do their campaigns last for?
Well, COVID made things weird for campaign 2, but they've been getting longer, I feel, because they record on Thursdays.
Mm.
I shouldn't say record, they stream on Thursdays, West Coast, so their games are usually like around 4 hours.
Oh,
So like yeah, there's times where they'll be live and it's like 1 or 2 o'clock here, and I'm like, "Geez, these guys, they're up late."
yeah.
And then, uh but yeah, campaign 1, 115 episodes. Campaign 2, 141. Campaign 3 is at 87.
Dang.
I'm on campaign 3, episode 34, and I have no idea where the story's going because right now it's pretty chill. They're still getting to know each other. They're exploring the world. Uh, the world building is great. There's guides and cookbooks and all sorts of fun stuff. Fuck. I feel like I'm leaving stuff out, but I've also been talking a lot. But yeah, they're awesome. If you like tabletop, or you just want to like see what voice actors get up to in their free time, I would check them out. The shorts that they have circulating definitely do them justice. They are hilarious. You get to see some of their their acting chops. I think that's it.
Cool,
I think
cool.
I hogged enough of the mic.
No, I was gonna say I feel like it's been forever since I've even like heard anything about D&D. Like when the first season of Stranger Things came out, and I was like, oh, I remember that. I don't remember
Mhm.
necessarily playing it, but I feel like our D&D back in the day was like Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Like
Yeah.
that was like either Yu-Gi-Oh cards or some other like Japanese inspired toy like Bakugan or Beyblades.
Beyblade. Yeah.
Beyblade.
Let it rip. I was like, bro, that
Rip.
is the most retarded thing I've ever heard in my life.
I wonder if
Like,
people just gradually like moved into like stuff like World of Warcraft instead of meeting for Dungeons and Dragons. Like, oh, let's just go play like a game instead.
yeah, I
I'm
could
sure
see
there was a,
that.
I'm sure there's a lot of people that did that.
Well, I mean, it does translate well. Like there are a lot of RPG games like that where it's like, okay, um, that's
That's
really who they're catering to, like the
that's
people
why I
who
want to get
enjoy that.
Baldur's Gate.
Oh
Oh,
I
yeah.
hear
Baldur's
I
Gate.
hear that's like that where you can make your own guy and run around with other people doing the same story.
Hmm.
It's
I
like, well, that sounds
think
like a pretty cool.
I think I may be completely off the mark, but I feel like the Hades by Super Giant Games, I think, or Super Massive Games, the guys that made Transistor.
Yeah,
I think that
Yeah.
game. I think that game feels like it's Baldur's Gate, but I doubt it because I think Hades is more like Greek mythology shit. But I guess it's just the art style because I think he is like in hell. So and you see some stuff. I guess I don't know. Maybe it's the art style or the
Helldivers
color
too,
scheme or some shit. I don't know. But
bro.
it does look good, bro. That game does look good. Baldur's Gate 3.
I was about to say, and well, I don't want to get into this now, but I think it's very interesting how a lot of the very popular games right now aren't those quadruple A titles that we've
Shut
heard
up,
so,
dude.
heard
We're
so
not
much about.
we're not using that like we're not unironically gonna be using that term, okay? What we
Bro,
will
that
be
joke
using
was
is
so.
triple I.
Oh my god, that joke is so stupid.
Ah,
Uh,
fuck,
all
get
right,
triple I, bruh. Come on, triple
bro.
I for the triple indie devs, bruh. Got to do it.
Yeah.
That's the
I,
real. That's real, by the way, viewers and listeners.
oh my god, that joke is
The,
so
the,
stupid. Like how in any Mammoth, thank you for sharing. Venom, it is your turn. Who is your YouTuber of choice?
I'm not gonna be anywhere near as in depth as that, but
You don't have to be.
yeah, I know, because that was really in depth.
My man was going in.
He was going in, bro. Fucking machine gun in that shit. But I guess I would say. I guess I would say the only one I can think of is really Some Ordinary Gamers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably
Okay.
Some Ordinary Gamers, because all the manga dudes that I used to watch, like either some of them stopped or I just stopped watching them. And that was like a lot of what I was watching like in the early to mid 2010s. That kind of stuff. And then but I don't think I followed somebody from that era the way I have been with Some Ordinary Gamers in recent time.
Hello, guys.
I
and
haven't really
gals.
been
Me,
following
Mutahar,
him
and
much,
2020
but
has
I've known of him for quite some time already. Um, he goes by Mudahar. That's his name, or Muda. I think he is Indian, I think, but also Canadian. I don't know if
Canadian.
I don't think
Bruh.
I don't know if he's residing in Canada right now. Cuz this is going to lead, I guess, to the video idea. I mean the videos he makes, cuz he made a particular video about, I didn't watch this one in particular, but I know he made it, where he was talking about like his uncertainty with still staying in Canada because of some laws that they were like trying to pass. So
Okay.
he's obviously, by his name, he's, a heavy gamer, and he does a lot of video content about games, whether he's reviewing it, sharing his thoughts on it, if it's fun, if the fucking companies are messing up with the game, or they lied, or holding them accountable. He'll do that for like other avenues in the tech industry, because he's, it seems to me like he has a tech job as well, but he generally keeps his life private. So I can't really say too much about that.
Yeah.
I heard that he may actually have a wife and kid now, but I don't know, honestly.
I mean, which is fine. Like,
Yeah, which is fine. It's fine. It doesn't really matter to me. I do wonder that sometimes, just because I'm curious, because I mean, I like the guy. But he also does, of course, like technical analysis on, it could be like hardware, or it could be just something else,
yeah.
But obviously, I don't watch all of his videos, though I've been thinking about kind of watching them more, because he'll not just talk about, his thoughts on tech, or let's say games, or he'll talk about emulation a lot, and how he champions emulation because it's for preservation, and how it's not illegal. So if you're listening or watching, it's not illegal.
I have
All
a
right.
small tangent
What?
about emulation preserving things.
Mm-hmm.
I rediscovered a video I uploaded on my very first YouTube channel. I think it's at
Bruh.
11 years ago. It was a Final Fantasy X AMV,
Wow.
and I re-uploaded it, and I'm glad I did because the original is gone.
Wow.
Wow.
And I was like, "Holy shit! I can't believe I have this upload. I don't have access to the account, but it's still there." But yeah, that was like a real life. Hey, I preserved something from over a decade ago. It's still
Bruh.
there.
Bruh. Well, there you have it. That's a nice example. Because shit in the internet can get lost.
They can.
But of course, he's talking about emulation in regards to, old games, and how important these new projects are when they're trying to they're trying to create like the PS4 emulator. They're still consistently working on the PS3 emulator still for games, because that console was so complex. I don't know why they
Yeah.
designed it that way, but
Yeah.
they did. I don't know all the intricacies, but I think it was heavily CPU based, I think.
I don't know.
I recall
the
it having a
ins and outs.
very weird architecture. Like it was.
Yeah, it was a weird CPU architecture that they used, I think, or throughout the entire thing. And if you're not tech savvy, just CPU is essentially the brain of the computer, the central processing unit. And
Did one of the branches of the military make a supercomputer out of like 200 of them?
maybe I'm not sure,
That sounds like
but
something we would have done.
but
But
but-
if it was Marines, we would have did it with crayon boxes. Moving along.
but this goes for all consoles, honestly. But this is in particular for the PS3, is that emulation is so important because of reasons of that, and the consistent work that people across the world, or what have you, are doing, to make these preservations. Because like I said, this goes for all consoles. At some point, the hardware is not going to exist. at some point. In our lifetime, there may be, besides collectors, there might be a point where like you will not be able to get a PS2 no matter what. And the reason why is because degradation.
Yeah, they don't make like what are the
No,
odds of one of us being able to find like
no, it's not that they don't make them. It's that the actual hardware and parts themselves will rot away at some point.
I mean, yeah, of course.
Like they just won't work in a sense. It just won't be possible. So that's why stuff like this is important, because imagine we are like maybe in our 50s and we can't even get a PS2 potentially. And it's like, well, we have emulation. And on the PC, it might be more complicated than you want it to be, but it's there for you, you know? And you know, the fucking internet and just computers in general give you so much flexibility on what you can use, even better than their original state. Like you can download the GameCube emulator and you can be playing games like quadruple the performance. It, depending on the game, you might have some issues here and there, maybe. I've never really experienced those issues, you know? But again, this is a part of Some Ordinary Gamers like content. He'll talk about that. He'll talk about, you know, maybe corporate decisions that are being made, or room like statements or interviews or whatever about what they're going to do about, you know, their business practices. Maybe he'll talk about, you know, some internet drama about some crazy motherfuckers that are out there doing shit like EDP.
I think I watched his coverage of EDP. Yeah.
Yeah, so like he'll do, in a sense, news coverage as well, obviously, because that's what a lot of people do, you know. They'll make videos and that's what we call them, but they're also kind of bringing you news. You know, it may not be the news that, you know, like world events or whatever, but it's still about people that are like our names or big names in their space.
Yeah.
So he'll talk about that, or he'll talk about stuff like Sam Altman and or whatever with OpenAI. I think that's Sam Altman, I think. And then I forget the name of the guy that was for that FTX and crypto scam.
Oh, Sam Bankman-Fried.
Yeah, Sam Bankman-Fried, like he'll talk about stuff like that. He may talk about government statements, like when they were talking about, they just he made a video, I think, when they announced they showed footage of a fucking UFO or a UAP or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm like, nigga, like, why is it always a bad video, bro? Get out of here, man. All the fucking time. Every time there's some footage of something that's so whatever.
Yeah, it's never HD.
It's never HD.
HD camera in their pocket.
Everybody has HD cameras in their pocket, and they give us fucking 120i 120i quality videos. Like, get out of here, man. Anyway, he'll talk about stuff like that. I didn't mean to get into that side of the conversation, but yeah, he'll talk about that and his thoughts about it. He'll get into it. He'll talk about just scary internet creepypastas or lore, or people that may have just done something horrific and he's just covering it, or maybe he actually attempts to research, you know, like do his own actual research to figure out some information about something. Like he'll go massively, you know, in depth, and he'll take you along with you, you know. He'll do that kind of video. Like, all right, let's look up, you know, he'll do that. And he'll show you screenshots, he'll show you footage, you know. And he's not like I know it says Some Ordinary Gamers, but the guy is far from ordinary. He is hilarious. He is a character. Let me tell you, he is a character. He is hilarious. And he's also associated with people like Penguin / Moist Critical. Charlie,
yeah,
and
yeah,
and stuff like, And he actually did like 6 episodes of a podcast like a couple of years ago, Some Ordinary Gamers. And he had Charlie on at least 1 or 2, I think. And I was like, oh shit, the fucking internet gamer crossovers though. Like, let's go. So that was pretty hype. He'll also talk about like operating systems and how they work. He's a champion of Linux. So he
Good man.
uses Windows maybe at work probably, or as a virtual machine. He's mainly on Linux. That's what he uses. If he needs to he'll use Windows to game, but maybe like on a different drive, or he'll use a virtual machine. But his primary like workspace is on Linux, and he gives videos on the different types of distros. In this particular instance, for those of you that don't really know what the fuck I'm saying right now, imagine like your computer has that system, Windows, right now, Windows 11, but let's pretend that doesn't exist, Windows 10. You got Windows 10, but there's different variations of it for different particular for different types of tasks. So like maybe it's open source technology. What that means is that everyone can see what goes into creating that system. So think about it like it's Windows 10. You're able to see the deepest innards, the code. You don't need to know. Y'all don't need to know what the code says. I'm just telling y'all. The code. They can see the code and they can alter it as they see fit for different particular tasks. So there will be one that you can customize for the Linux operating system, not Windows, Linux. They'll be able to, people can configure it and you can download these where like they're tailored for games, or they're tailored for business, or they're tailored for just casual browsing, or it's all purpose. And sometimes you can, and it's again, they're customizable. So some of these sometimes don't look like Windows at all. But because a lot of people use Windows, and that's still the main system everybody uses, like in schools, unless they're using tablets, which they generally use Apple. But they'll make a Linux version that looks like Windows, so it makes it easier for people to use. Like if you may want to check out Linux and you have no idea. And he talks about like where you can get the instructions. He'll tell you how you can do it, and he'll show you like stuff like that. He'll show you what goes into operating a system like that for those that don't know at all. He'll go into depth about like the commands, and he understands and is very aware of the stigma that Linux has, and the system itself and the type of people that use it, or the people just in general that use it. Because you got to do, quote unquote, so much to get something running. But in so many ways, Linux is faster than Windows. Whatever you think fast is on Windows, it's even faster on Linux because it doesn't have any BS. That Microsoft Word, Excel, all that shit, Linux has all of what you need for free. LibreOffice, free. You don't have to worry about anything because even Linux itself is free. It's free, open source. Anybody can use it. It's no problem. And he's a champion of that and that type of architecture.
Okay.
So that's really cool to see. And he'll cover a bunch of shit. And he's a character, and a lot of times he'll do reviews too, like I said, of games. I don't always agree with his takes, but I usually do agree. The only one that I heavily disagreed on was his MGS4 one. But even then, he's the type of gamer that no matter what issues he may have, if he feels like
cutscenes.
Huh?
It's because he doesn't like cutscenes.
No, it's not the cutscenes at all. He loves Metal Gear. He is a Metal Gear fan. Some of his earliest videos were Metal Gear influenced or Metal Gear related or whatever. He is
Who wants to
big.
hate?
No, it's just the story of Metal Gear Solid
Oh.
4. You always hear people have issues with Metal Gear Solid 4 nowadays, and I'm like, bruh, what the fuck? Like I understand where people come from. I just disagree and think the story has everything that they're looking for. It's just that they're not grasping it. A lot of people don't, but a lot of people do, and that's, and some people just don't like it. But he does. He's the kind of gamer that he is 100% a gamer. That dude loves his games. He will pop in like games either emulation style or physically. He'll champion, of course, consoles still to keep having disk drives as well, just to keep up with that preservation side. He'll he has like, I think he has a PS2 still, or he may have like some portable consoles as well. He has an Xbox, I think. He has a Switch. Like, he'll play from all three. He's not a hater like that, but he'll call the companies out if he feels they're BSing or whatever. But if the game is good, it's like he's still like, going back to the Metal Gear example, he has issues with MGS4, but he still loves the game for so many reasons. And at the end of the day, he really likes the game anyway. He plays it all the time. He loved Death Stranding as well.
Man.
Yeah, he loved Death Stranding as well.
So
And he spices it up a lot.
Okay. So
Check him out.
Okay, yeah. So you definitely went longer than Mammoth.
Did I?
For not having
Really?
anything? Yeah. For
By
not
how
having
much?
for not having anything to say. By like 5 minutes.
Yo, I freestyled that shit, bro.
We're all freestyle.
And it was, yeah, I was about to say, what you trying to say?
I thought y'all wrote stuff down. I'm not gonna
No,
lie, bro.
I literally said from the last time to just come with, because again, if it's someone we watch, it's someone we probably watched before we even like got up on here to record.
Yeah.
So
I listened to 2 episodes of Critical Role today.
Yeah, I was about to say I watched like 2 episodes of the guy that I watch before like I got on the computer. But yeah, I've heard of Some Ordinary Gamers.
Dude, you gotta get on that man. He's good. He's great.
I usually
hilarious.
only watch his like news stuff. I haven't seen any of his gaming stuff.
Yeah, I was about to say I feel like I know him more for like news coverage.
The memes, dog. The memes that they make of this man is too good, dog. It's fucking hilarious. He recently got into some he somehow got into Destiny space somehow.
Yeah, he's been there.
Yeah, he's been there, but he's not, like, I've never really seen him in that space, but I know he's sort of affiliated with it in some way, shape, or form.
They have talks every now and then. I'm like, oh, they're talking about random stuff again. Good.
Yeah.
So yeah. So I don't remember how it is I heard of him. I think it was through like another YouTuber. I feel like that's how I find most of my like people that I follow, is like through other people. Like if I'm watching one person, I'm like, oh, I collab with this guy, and I was like, oh, okay, let me go over and check him out. I mean, that's typically why they do those collabs anyway, is to share their audience. But yeah, I've definitely like heard of him. I've definitely watched some of his stuff before. I don't know if I've ever like subscribed to him, but I'll, we'll definitely have to check him out.
Yeah, he's good. Good shit.
And last but not least, for me, my YouTuber of choice, his name is IGP. Have you guys ever heard of him?
No.
I feel like I should have.
IGP.
No. What does it stand for?
Indie Game Promoter.
No.
So basically, this guy is a gaming channel, and I will admit this, viewers, I have done a gaming channel before, and it is really hard. Like, people, like, you guys have to understand, you have to play the game, you got to record it, you also have to make sure you understand how to edit it, like make it entertaining, like don't sound monotone or dry, you know, show a little emotion, but don't be too annoying. You know, there's like this balance. So this guy, his whole shtick is he plays indie games only. He
Yeah.
does like horror games a lot more than he does like other type of games, but he will play pretty much anything. Like if it is made by indie developer, he will play it. Which at the time I was like, that's pretty smart because you know anything not made by a major company is typically indie. Um, and you know everybody's always trying their shot at making video games, so I'm like, you will always have games to play. And like he has multiple channels, but his main channel is for like horror games, like horror indie games,
Ooh.
and his other channels are more
Nice.
so like just anything else. Like he had one game where, dang, what was it called? I actually played it. It was like 60 seconds. Yeah, it was called 60 seconds. So it's like you have it's like a nuclear bomb is about to go off. You have to run throughout your house and grab family members and food and like supplies and stuff. You have to survive for a certain number of days.
Yeah.
And you have to like make specific choices and stuff like that. Like he plays those kind of games. He plays like games like like crafting, survival stuff like that, or he just plays literal just horror. So I like the repertoire that he has. Like he doesn't just stick to one genre, and that helps him a lot. Because if you just stick to one thing, and there's nothing wrong with that, but the people, it's almost like people who only play Fortnite. Yeah, Fortnite, you know, was at its peak when it came out and everybody was talking about it and no one could shut up about it. But the reality is those games lose that popularity very quickly. Um so for him, I was like, okay, this is a really cool channel. And over time, his channel just improved in quality. Like he only had one channel at first, but then he started making other ones. And at the time, because he actually had another channel called Grandma Savers that he did with a buddy of his, but they haven't really like posted on that channel like recently. But he focuses more on like his other channels more. But yeah, I've been subscribed to the guy for like 3 years, and he was like if there's a game that I want to play, it's because he played it. I'll just say it like that. Like if there's an indie game that I wanted to play, it's because he played it. But yeah. So long story short, that is my person. His name again is IGP, the indie game promoter. And again, it's just good to branch out people. Like it's good to have those found like don't just focus on one game. Don't focus on one genre unless it is something you're really really immersed in because you'll get
Yeah.
bored of it eventually. So, that is our first part and we're still doing pretty good on time. So we're going to go ahead and slide into our second part.